Hello everyone, I'm Shannon and welcome to the Pear Blossom Press and Hero Arts Collaboration Hop. Today we'll be creating this card featuring the What a Ride collection from Hero Arts. This card is an interactive card. It's a slider spinner card, which is actually super easy to create thanks to the snap and slides from Pear Blossom Press. So let's get started on this card. We're going to start things off by creating that background. I'm using the Wavy Lines Die from Hero Arts. This is the new die, part of the What a Ride collection. I just love it for backgrounds. It's so pretty with colored cardstock. I'm going to be using Spellbinder's Colorwheel cardstock today. I have 5 A2 panels in the colors of Terra, Cotta, Carrot, Saffron, Bellini, and Tutu. I'm going to take the panel, line it up with the die, and use a couple pieces of tape to hold it in place so I get a perfect A2 cut of those beautiful wavy lines. So I'm going to run that through. When you're done, you'll have 5 piles of little kind of like almost puzzle pieces of wavy lines that we'll piece together. I have an A2 panel here of some white cardstock, a kind of a thinner weight cardstock, about 80 pound, and I'm going to add some full adhesive to this panel so all of my strips really stick down. Now you can always glue these down if you could prefer. You can also use a tape runner. The nice thing about using this full adhesive is it makes sure when I do cut the track for my slider that all of the cardstock will stay in place. Even if it's just a little sliver of colored cardstock, it'll stay in place. So that's really a nice benefit for the full adhesive for this project. So now that the panel's covered with the full adhesive, we're going to start paper piecing these pieces together. I'm going to grab a strip or piece from each one of my piles and place it down so I get this beautiful, not quite a rainbow, but almost like an ombre kind of look. I do have off camera pulled up on my computer a picture of the finished panel, so I'm using that as a guide. I'm not just knowing which pieces to put in place. And once I kind of make it through all 5 of my shades, then I'll go back through again and start over with that Tutu, and then Saffron, then Carrot, then Terracotta, and lastly Bellini. So we're going to finish up here with this panel. Now, of course, you're noticing you're going to have a lot of scraps left over. I highly encourage you to make the 4 additional panels. So you can make 4 more panels with your scraps, and this background's so beautiful and I think would work for so many different occasions. I'm only going to make 1 panel for today's card, but you betcha I'm going to make those other panels later for other cards. I think it'll make some really pretty birthday cards. So here we have the Wild Ride Stamp and Cut. This is an interactive stamp and cut set, which is really awesome. It has all the dies you need to create a slider or spinner slider card all in one die set. Often for interactive cards, you have to purchase a separate die set to create an interactive card. So I think this is so awesome that it's all included in one set. So I grabbed the smaller track. There's actually 2 tracks included in the die set. I grabbed the smaller one and die cut my A2 panel, my Wavy Lines A2 panel. Now that I've die cut it, I have my A2 top folding card base here. I'm using that Wavy Lines panel as a guide for placing this negative track piece back inside and onto my card front. So I've positioned the panel perfectly over the card front, added glue to the backside of the Wavy Lines track, popped it into that negative space, and now I'll just remove the panel and we will now stamp our sentiment. Now I was strategic on how I placed my track die for when I cut that opening. I made sure I knew I was going to place my sentiments along it, so I made sure that I placed the track in a way that I had places to place my sentiments where I wasn't stamping onto a cut line of the wavy lines. Now you'll see here I am curving my sentiments to kind of fit the track opening a little bit. I love that you can do this with your clear stamps. It's just such an awesome and easy technique, and it really does incorporate the sentiment more with the design of your card. It seems very cohesive when you get it all done. My only tip is try to work a little bit maybe quicker when you're stamping, just in case you have a really tight curve and that stamp may pop out of place. So I did kind of stamp that pretty quickly just to make sure it didn't pop out of place before I stamped it multiple times. So here we have these snap-in slides from Pear Blossom Press. These are so awesome. This is going to make it really easy to put this together. There's a pair for each one of these snap-in slides, a piece that has an opening and a piece that has a raised knob in the center. I placed the raised piece down onto my card front on the actual track. I want to make sure that's there for when I place down my Wavy Lines panel, which I am now adding foam adhesive to the back side. I am going to double up my foam adhesive here. That way my snap and slide moves very freely and easily between the card base and the card front. So here you can see I'm doubling up that foam adhesive. And while I'm adding foam adhesive to the back side, I do want to point out that I do keep the foam adhesive to the sides, and I leave about a 1/2 inch clearance on both sides of the track window, free of foam adhesive, because I don't want to interfere with the movement of the snap and slide. You can see I added a little bit of foam adhesive to support those areas, but I still was very kept at least that 1/2 inch clearance from the track opening. I do want to also note that the dies do include, the Wild Ride dies do include dies to create your own mechanism for a slider, so you don't have to have the snap and slides to create a interactive card. You just can use the Wild Ride die set. But again, the snap and slides make this so easy. You can see here I've placed that panel down, and now I'm just going to pop on that top piece, and my snap and slide, or my interactive card, is ready to go. So easy. Such a great product. Now we're going to move on to creating some additional images for our card front, including the cute little cat and dog that are in a roller coaster cart, as well as a sun and a cloud. I stamped them in black ink. I'm using Hero Arts INTENS-ified Black because I am going to do a little bit of Copic coloring, and that black ink is a alcohol marker friendly ink. I did stamp the cloud 2 more times. Now I'm going to grab the solid stamps included in this set to add a little bit of color to the sun, clouds, and the cart. I'm going to start here with the sun, just positioning that center, and then I'm going to grab some Butter Bar Core ink. This color pretty much matches the Saffron cardstock, so it's perfect for this. Then we'll move on to the cart. Now the cart is a little trickier. I'm trying to match the Tutu cardstock. We don't really have an ink that totally matches it, but I found that if I layer cotton candy, so I'm going to do 2 layers of cotton candy, just kind of build up the intensity, and then 1 layer of ultra pink, I get something pretty close to the color of Tutu. So this is another little trick, is try layering your colored ink sometimes to get the right color. It's definitely going to take some trial and error, so do it on some scrap cardstock, but once you kind of figure out a formula, it is a game changer when you have your inks that you match your colored cardstocks, because now you don't have to worry about your ink and your cardstock not matching. You've got the formula. Now we're going to do some simple coloring. I did finish up the clouds though with Peony, which is a pretty similar color to the Bellini, the light pink cardstock. So now we're just going to quickly color the wheels of the cart. I used a little light red for that, or a pink rather. And then now I'm using some oranges for our cat. And then for the dog, we're going to do kind of a brown orange combo. So just like the ink, I am going to be layering some Copics here to kind of get the right shade. I'm trying to replicate that terracotta, which I just don't have a Copic marker that's the right color. Maybe there is a marker that's the right color, but I don't have it. So I'm starting off with an orange and then going over with a brown. And I feel like this does a pretty good job of keeping the dog a brown color, but still with those orange undertones that it matches the terracotta. So once I finish coloring my images and stamping the color on my images, I'm going to go ahead and grab the coordinating dies and die cut them out. Of course, I'll use a couple pieces of tape or lots of tape to hold those dies in place so you get perfect cuts. Then we'll just have to repeat this for the other clouds. I do like the multiple clouds. I'm using that rule of 3 here. It just kind of balances things out. And now we're ready to put this all together. So I'm going to start by adhering my my clouds and sun down. I did add some foam adhesive to the backside so they have a little bit of dimension. I do want to note you want to be careful where you place these. You don't want them getting too close to the track. Again, you don't want to impede the movement of your slider. Once I finish sticking these two clouds down, we'll finish up by adding our little critters in their cart onto the snap and slide. I'm going to actually use my tape runner. I'm just going to add some adhesive to the top of the snap and slide. This worked really well. I think if you don't have a double-sided adhesive tape runner, you can also use score tape or a glue dot. There's a lot of options there. And after I stick that down, my card is complete. I'll hold it to the camera here so you can get a good look. Of course, give it a little turn so you can see that spinner slider in action. So cool. Again, such a fun and easy interactive card. Love the snap and slide from Pear Blossom. It made it such an easy card to put together. Hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. Make sure you check out the other videos in today's hop, and thanks for watching.